So morning all, and back out with RB on another test ride, and this is another Lexmoto Titan, and 4166 on the clock. So this done quite some good mileage on this one. A customer has obviously said to us that it was cutting out on idle and it was holding back when accelerating, and obviously technician diagnosed the fuel system, so it has had complete new injection system, new injector, new throttle position sensor. If you happen to know your Titans, you know it can be a bit finicky on those TPS's, throttle position sensors. Rust spill out there. We have also changed the tank and the fuel pump, because when we went to change the fuel pump it was absolutely rusted in solid, the screws were rusted in. So new fuel pump ordered and a new tank, because we had to cut the bolts off. So it's basically had a complete new fuel system all the way through the bike, and now down to me to get some mileage on it. And obviously this one we can test ride at 50 mile an hour, but he was saying it was, when he pulled up to junctions, it was cutting out on idle. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the urban route 30 mile an hour round town, and I'm going to go round the back roads and just stop at every junction that I can, just to check this bike out and obviously get the engine warm. And this is a Euro 4 Titan, we have the Euro 5s in now. So we're going to take this one out, we're going to run it around and see what happens. And same as the repair loop on the one we did yesterday, minimum ride of about 10 to 15k on this one, just to check everything is a-okay. It's all been checked over. We had it running yesterday in the workshop for about 15 minutes. It has had just a couple of short test rides, just literally round the block, and then obviously they've just passed it back to me to get out and do my RB ride test. And because it's all back roads down here, I can pull up at a few junctions and just obviously sit there for a couple of seconds, make sure I've got nothing behind me. Adjust the mirrors up a little bit so I can see, that's better. Right, we're going to pull up here. While I adjust my left hand mirror, that's better. I'm just going to sit here for a second. I'm idling about 1500 RPM, so engine's still a little bit cold. Now he should idle around about 1000 to 1200. And you notice how I'm just easing off on the throttle every time I come to a junction, just to see what it'll do. Hand off the throttle, pull it up. Once again, idling well. So normally with the Titans, and a lot of people have commented on the YouTube video, yes, that's 60% of the time it's normally a throttle position sensor, but we've changed absolutely everything on this just as a matter of recourse, and it's all been done under Lexmoto warranty, thanks to the guys at Lexmoto. Again, warranty team are really good. So if you are thinking of getting a Lexmoto, just to know that the obviously warranty is very good. Doesn't cover your wearable items like brake pads, cables, or anything that is obviously classed as a wearable item. And obviously if you drop the bike, we're not going to cover the panels. just letting her idle again, just keep pulling her about. I'm going to do the same loop again, second time round, and then we're going to go out and do the dual carriageway. Let me just go round the bus. There's enough room to filter. There isn't if you're a car, but there is if you're a bike, and that is the one thing I do like about being on a bike, that you can filter. A nice steady 30 mile an hour. Just to simulate urban driving. And we're 4k in. And once again, round town. And do some back roads again. But this is just to obviously simulate all the back roads that you would do if you happen to be pottering down to town or doing a bit of urban route. And I'm just easing it off, letting it tick over and roll round the corners just to see what it will do. No issues found whatsoever so far. And just sit at the junction again. Let it idle for a second. It's again sitting around about 1800 RPM. We'll do it on the next junction as well. And off the throttle, and we'll just hold here for a couple of seconds, check the mirrors, make sure I've got nothing behind me. It is idling fine. So, time now to get a bit of dual carriageway in and get it up to speed. Now obviously any bike that comes in on a repair loop, we tend to stay local to the garage within about half a mile, so that way at least I haven't got to push it back too far if it does break down. Or one of the boys can come out with the trailer and get me. So sitting at that nice steady 30 again. Just aware of vehicles in the filter lane. And that quick shoulder check. And let's open it up. And we'll take it up to 50 mile an hour. And that's not holding back at all. So, there we go. And we're at 55. Nice and steady. As it is a customer's bike. Now obviously the purpose of doing these ride videos is obviously the customers know about my YouTube channel. They can go on and see their bike being tested, and just shows that I'm not absolutely ragging the pants off of the bike, taking it nice and easy, and they can see that their bike has no problems at all. And then we go back down the other side of the dual carriageway again. So that is the purpose. A lot of garages won't do a ride test or record a ride test. So, yes, phone up, your bike's good mate, we've been out, we've tested it. And unless of course you know what the mileage is on your bike, they're not going to go how long they've rode it or what speed they've had it up to, or how the person that's riding the bike has ridden it. There's no one that knows their bike better than the customer, because obviously they're riding it on a daily basis. So that is why we do the videos. And it also, for everybody else that's obviously got bikes, they know from most of the videos what to look for. So oh, my bike's cutting out, blah 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 blah. Oh, I've gone and watched his video. He said it's this, he said it's that. So throttle position sensor, or is it the injector unit, or is it the electronic carb, is it the ECU, is it my fuel pump, is it the fact that I'm using supermarket fuel? And that's the one thing we always knock on about. Supermarket fuel's alright if you put it in your car, your big bike, yeah, not a problem. But the 50s and the 125s do struggle with supermarket fuel, and we have had a few issues where customers have filled up at the local supermarket, and obviously 2 days later the bike's starting to play up. When did you last fill up? Well, 2 days ago. Where did you fill up? Supermarket. What did you use? Or just the cheap stuff? So that is why we always say decent fuel. And obviously there was a lot of comments on the last Titan video. Someone actually commented and said, yes, I work for a fuel station, and it's not all that. And obviously that guy knows what he's talking about, because he works for a refinery. And he said, yeah. And we actually commented back, thanks for the advice. Where do you fill up then? I actually fill up at my local Shell. Oh, right, okay. And obviously you deliver supermarket fuel. Would you ever use it? Hell no. And he categorically said, hell no, I would not touch supermarket fuel. So that is from someone that works at a fuel refinery. He said obviously the expensive fuel has cleaning agents in it. Your supermarket fuel is just the bare bones, low cost fuel. And that is why supermarket fuel is cheap. Just for that reason. Not the fact that they buy it so much. Someone did actually comment and said, oh yeah, but obviously your Tesco's, your Asda, your Morrison's, they've got loads of stores, they buy it because they buy it in bulk, they get it cheaper. No, they don't. If you look at how many Shell stations there are, how many people fill up at Shell and BP, it works out about 50-50. It's just the fact that obviously Shell and BP put a lot of cleaning agents in their fuel, which obviously leads me on to this E10 that's coming out at the moment. Is E10 okay for any bike? Yes, it is. Anything obviously pre 1990, just make sure that you can use that in your bike, because ethanol does accumulate water, it attracts water. If you've got a certain type of tank, it can rot your tank, it can rot your seals. But there is a great gov website, and you can get it off of Google. If you just type in will my bike run on E10 fuel, and you can put in the make and model of your bike or your car, and it will tell you if your bike is okay to be used on E10 fuel. So that's another good one for you, just a little tip there to pick up on. We're going to do one more run down the dual carriageway, and we are good to go. So 4175. So we're 9k in, just about coming up to 10k. And we're just going to do the obviously we've done the dual carriageways now. We're going to go back round and do that urban route in Bletchley again. Good old Bletchley. And it's running along absolutely perfect. It's not hiccuping or doing anything. It's got, give it a handful of throttle, there's loads of power there. You can hear that engine just pick up if I open the throttle a bit. Just let her idle and come in on the roundabout. Apply the power again. And obviously you can hear me varying the throttle response, which is trying to overfuel the bike now, just to see what it'll do, and obviously just letting it coast its way in. And we'll come off back into the urban routes. But all good so far. And just idling around the corner, perfect. I'm just going to do my junctions one more time, just see how we are on idle, head back to the garage and give the customer a call. So I'm just going to pull up, nothing behind me. And it's still exactly the same as it was last time. Idling lovely. Sitting around 1500, 1700 RPMs. Just let it roll in, coast the corner. All good. Let it coast in one final time. Sit there for a few seconds. And time now to head back to the garage. So ride test completed. All good. As I say, if you get any issues with your bike, whether it's a Titan or a ISCA, whatever, get it into your dealer. That's what Lexmoto warranty is there for. Get it checked out. We've done all our repair loop on this one, all good and effective. Obviously now, hand it back to the customer, and we would ask them to do what we call a drive cycle, because obviously no one knows the bike better than the customer. And we would say to them, obviously keep an eye on it for the week, ride it as you would normally, let us know how it is. If you get any issues, obviously report it back. But we are now 12k in, happy with that. Heading back to the garage for my normal morning breakfast, which is a cup of coffee and a cigarette. But obviously we've ridden it, well I've ridden it, no issues found whatsoever. Happy days. Now, and obviously unless a customer is absolutely ragging it around like a loon, I tend to sort of ride within my limits, but you do find obviously you get the odd customer that just wants to absolutely gun that throttle all the time and just race it like an absolute loon like that, just full throttle all the time, gently on the throttle. It's not an F1 race. So most issues occur where the bike's being ridden outside of its parameters. If you're taking care of it, riding it like a sensible human being, you shouldn't get an issue with the bike. So I'm going to wind the video up here, heading back to the garage, ride test done,